What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. The other day I was out here and noticed the food forest blesses us with a few surprises. So today I want to share with you what they are and then do a few small tasks that can make a big difference. Let's go! The first gift from the food forest that I noticed the other day is hidden behind that apple tree. But it actually stems from all the way over here, from this grapevine. So this grapevine I put in a number of years ago. It's performing real well. You can see how thick the base of it is down there, doing excellent. And the leaves are starting to open up, showing signs of waking up. Then over here we've got the raspberries, but that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is right down here. I noticed this in the winter that one of these vines, actually from the grape, actually rooted into the ground, or it looked like it did, and I pulled at it in the winter to try to get it away, but I couldn't, so I figured it rooted. As we trail up, we notice that there's leaves starting to open up, which is a great sign. So essentially this grapevine propagated itself and without me even noticing. So it's always fantastic when things like that happen. And you can see that it's rooting on its own because I cut it away from the main vine. Still showing leaves, and that's great. But that's not the main gift I'm most excited about. This is it right here. As you can see, we've got some flowers on this, which is apple tree from seed. Some of you know that I have the Prigioni apple. I'll show you that. That's one that we put in a number of years ago and actually is fruiting for us excellently. But here's a new one, a new apple tree from seed. Who knows what the fruit's gonna be like, but I cannot wait to try it. Before I move over to the Prigioni apple and show you how well that one's doing, I wanted to just give you a better view of this one. As you can see, besides just the leaves to identify it's an apple, we've got these red flowers before they open up. And apple blossoms are one of the best smelling flowers, so you got to get in there and get a good smell. If you've never smelt them, it'll blow you away. But as we step back, you'll notice this tree has a very bush-like quality to it, as opposed to a big tree. I like the structure of it. I'm not going to really prune it. I'm going to leave it as it is. And I think this is actually a great location, even though it's next to this peach tree, because I've mentioned it before, but peach trees, they'll only produce heavily for about 7 to 10 years. So this one's been producing for about 3 years or so. We got 4 or so more. So if this is a great apple, it'll be an excellent replacement for this peach tree. Let me bring you over to the Prigioni apple. And another thing is, when that apple starts fruiting and I get to try it, if it's one we're gonna keep, I have to think of a name for it. So hit down in the comments if you've got a good name for that apple, and maybe we'll pick one of the best ones you choose. Right now I'm thinking like the Tuck apple or the Tucker apple, something to do with the little guy. Because for all the work he does in the garden, he definitely deserves to have something named after him. But look at this Prigioni apple. This thing is flowering like crazy. It looks like it's gonna be loaded with fruit. Let me actually just do a short montage of this apple tree with all the bees and stuff pollinating it, and throw a little bit of Tuck in there, maybe too.
Oh, well, I know you stroked the setup, baby, of all the leaves up in the ground. And I know your song is old but healthy, yes, I see dry leaves falling down. With all this fever in my mind, I could drown in your kerosene eyes. You're just a riddle in the sky. Where do my bluebird fly? And as the early sigh of dawn will thunder, I see you stir the fog around. And when you find the voice and gears of sunset, we'll hear that high and lonesome sound. Oh. And I would question every wind if they gone through the glow of your eyes. So you're just a riddle in the sky. Where do my bluebird fly?
As you can see, a lot of things in the greenhouse are doing excellent. Tomatoes are doing well, eggplants, peppers. The one thing is, I planted some of my tomatoes a little early this year. I was just too excited for to get things started in the spring. So there can be one downside about starting tomatoes real early. The issue is you're gonna have to actually transplant them to another pot before you transplant them outside, because we don't want them to get root bound. So there's a few of them here that I'm gonna transplant, show you how I do it real quick. One thing you'll notice is this year I have everything on the ground. I don't have anything up on any shelves or anything. And the reason I have everything on the ground is because it's much cooler at this ground level than up top. So there's days when I just can't get out here and I'm not able to when it's heated up to a decent amount. So keeping everything low has been a big help and has actually allowed things to stay short, strong, and stout. I have a fan going at all times as well that I don't have in here this minute just because we're filming. So let me move some of this stuff out of the way, grab a couple of tomatoes, and we'll transplant them. Here's 3 of the biggest ones. Soldaki I planted real early. This is one of my favorite varieties. The potato leaf tomato, performing real well, but some of the roots are starting to come out the bottom. You'll notice I cut 4 slits in every cup. You always want to make sure you have drainage. That's so important. If you don't have drainage, then the soil is going to get that, it's going to go anaerobic and it's going to get that bad smell. It's going to lack oxygen, which is not what you want. Your roots need oxygen to live. Fortunately for me, I've got a resource where I can get a lot of soil as much as I want, high quality stuff for free, just at the local recycling center. So when it comes to transplanting things into bigger pots, it's not a huge deal for me. But if you don't, you might have to go out and buy some soil and potting mix or something. That can get actually pretty expensive. So to avoid that, I suggest you always journal when you started your tomatoes. This way it can give you the best time for when you should start it the next year. So they say about 4 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. Sometimes, like last year, I only did it 4 weeks before because I didn't want to do any transplanting. But if you want big tomatoes that'll produce early, you might have to take a step like transplanting to a bigger pot. So let's get these transplanted and potted up. You'll notice right here though, I'm using Mycos. This is a mycorrhizal inoculant. So what I'm gonna do is put this in the base of the pot as I transplant them. And it's gonna actually encourage the mycorrhizal association at this young age and help with transplanting as well. So I'll load that up, not full all the way, and then just put it in to see what kind of height we got. When it comes to tomatoes, as you can see these little hairs down there, those will turn into roots if we bury them. So I'm gonna pick off these bottom leaves here. Get a little mycos ready. When using mycorrhizal fungi, it only works with the majority of plants. It doesn't form an association with brassicas, so don't waste the mycos on your brassicas. As you can see, the roots are doing well. Nice healthy color, so we're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of the mycos on it, a little on the base and the bottom. A little bit goes a long way. And then I'm just gonna backfill. And if I was using this black leaf mulch for seedlings, then I would use that sifter that we built just recently, that homemade sifter. That would work great, but since I'm not popping seeds or anything, this soil is actually fine just as it is. We're gonna fill it up like that. Bury the tomato a little bit, push down so we don't have any air pockets. And then afterwards we'll come and we'll water this in. As you can see, it looks nice. It'll root more at the base, and we'll have some healthy plants. Let's get these next ones in.
Oh, well, I know you stroke your feathers, baby, up on the ghosts along my trail. And I know our light was sold and buried before I knew it was for sale.
Now I'm gonna water the ones that I just planted. We've got a Soldaki right here and 2 pink brandywines. One thing to note is definitely make sure you label these as you transplant to a different one. And these are ones I did the other day, a couple Soldakis, a few over there. It'll just get these all watered.
With all this fever in my mind, I should aim for your kerosene eyes. So you're just a target in the sky. Where do my bluebird fly?
One thing you'll notice is after I transplanted these, I didn't bring them outside, even though it's a nice day. I brought them right back to the environment they were in before, because they're being transplanted. So that's a big change for them. So I don't want to transplant them and also bring them into a completely different environment. We want to reduce as much transplant shock as possible. That's another reason we use the mycos. That'll help with that, besides also just helping with the overall growth of the roots. So I've got a few other I'm going to transplant, but before I do that, let's go out and do a few more garden tasks. In addition to the greenhouse that I think has made a big difference, you can probably hear it, is that air conditioner maintaining a good temperature. But something else, a small task we can do that makes a big difference, is right here. You'll notice some of these sprouts coming out of this plum tree. And if we allow these to grow, they're going to take up a lot of hormones, a lot of growth hormones, a lot of energy. So the good idea is to just come and rub these off when they're young. This way we're not wasting a lot of growth, and it's not something we have to cut off, and we don't leave any extra marks or anything in the tree, making it susceptible to borers and things like that. One thing I want to encourage all of you to do when you're out here is to soak everything up and to become a great observer of nature. This way, the plants will guide you on what you need to do. So things are so circumstantial, especially when growing food and growing in a food forest with different kinds of trees. There's not one necessary, you can't just say that you do it this way or just do it that way. Principles can guide us, which is important, which I like to focus on, but overall, if you can become a good observer of nature, that'll guide you on exactly what you need to do. So I've got an event over here. I'm going to thin some of my spinaches, and noticing through the years that I planted things just a little too dense, I realized that I was getting smaller spinach that was reducing some of my harvest. So we're going to thin some of that, and we're going to move it to different locations, try to utilize the ones that I'm going to take out in another area to increase our yield overall rather than bunching everything too close together. So let's get on that. Going along with what I just mentioned about soaking everything up when you're out here, there's a good quote that it reminded me of. And it says, don't just get through the day, get from the day. So I encourage you guys to take everything in, to concentrate on what you're doing, and to just, like I said, become a better observer of things out here. So as you'll notice here, we've got spinach that are planted too densely. And if we allow them to just grow like this, it's going to reduce the size, and I think it's going to give us an actual overall lower yield. So I don't want to just thin these out, pull them out, and get rid of them or just snack on them. What I like to do is thin them and actually transplant them right behind me in a section that I have cleaned out here. So that's what we're going to do. I'm only going to show you how I'm going to do a few of them here because my favorite time to transplant things are either early in the morning or later at night. So I'll do a few now to just show you how I'm going to do it. But then I'll come back out later as the sun starts to set and I'll transplant them. So when they do move from one home to the new one, it's not really, the sun's not beating down on them. So let's get into that now. You'll notice we have some weeds that are coming up. We're just going to pull these out. But we'll also notice, because of observing through the years, we know that this right here coming up is cilantro, so we don't want to pull that out. We'll let that grow, and that's just something that's self-seeded on its own. This spinach right here is too close together, and since we've got worked on good soil through the years, it's easy to just pull right out. And I think even if this transplant doesn't necessarily work every time, it's still something that's worth it because we're not going to lose anything by doing it. Spinach have deep tap roots, sort of like carrots, so we want to try to get as low as we can, being gentle. Pull it straight up, and see we got a decent amount of that tap root. Then we're just going to bring it to this location here. Use our finger to dig down. Make sure we're getting that tap root all the way in, and then just bringing the soil around it, pushing it in. And then we really vitally want to make sure that we're coming out and watering it soon after we're doing it, because if the soil isn't really moist, this thing will just flop over and die. So I'll show you how we'll do one more. We'll notice right here, this one's also growing relatively close. So we're going to try to grow as low as we can. Pull that up, get a decent amount of that taproot, and then have pretty good spacing. Use our finger to get down there. Like I mentioned, these have long taproots. So if you're going to want to plant them, you're going to want to do it in a nice soft soil. Fortunately, we've had wood chips down here for years, and that's helped to build nice soft soil for us. So we're going to water those in now, then I'll come back out later, thin the rest of this area, and transplant it right over here. So we got those watered. Like I mentioned, again, this is not the best time to do it. It'd be better to do this when the sun's setting or earlier in the morning. I'm just going to take a couple of these leaves off. Some of the older ones, actually I could probably just eat them, but they're a little dirty because these roots are going to have a little bit of a shock. We don't want them to have to support all this green, all this leaves. So I'm going to take a few of those off, still allow some of the younger leaves, and I think that'll help. Tuck's walking up, let me know we did a good job today. We had a lot of fun doing it. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Me and Tuck had fun bringing you along, but we're going to continue to get some work done in here and take advantage of this day. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that notification bell down at the bottom. This way when we upload, you know you can be here early and continue to follow along for the whole growth of the forest as Tuck finds another snack to grab. We'll see you in the next one. James Prigioni and Tuck, we